recap of what's new about Audi's latest A5 Coupe, a car that needs to build on the previous model's steadily strong sales, which continued right until its death. Firstly, the A5 is now a lighter car than before, by some 60 kilograms. Its bigger dimensions mean more cabin space, and behind its seating 4-5 lies a larger boot. This A5 also sits on the latest evolution of Audi's MLB chassis architecture, so we can reasonably expect it to ride and handle more competently, too. And so it might, because those worried that the A5's close connection with its more subdued executive A4 stablemate will mean a dull drive have been considered. Indeed, the A5 receives stiffer springs in a bid to offer the sportier feel buyers are looking for, to go with its sleeker looks. The A4's and A5's engine lineups are a game of spot the difference, but they are marginally different from each other. The A5 does without the A4's lower-powered 148 bhp 2.0-liter 4-cylinder diesel, while the range-topping 282 bhp 3.0-liter V6 diesel doesn't arrive in the coupe until early next year. Until then, we've driven the lower-powered 215 bhp version of the V6 TDI in the UK. Another powertrain quirk worth mentioning is that whereas the A4 pairs front-wheel drive with this engine in search of low CO2 emissions, the A5 Coupe combines it with quattro all-wheel drive only. The relatively small losses in CO2 and fuel economy are well worth the gains in driver satisfaction, particularly traction from standstill in slippery conditions, something with which the front-drive A4 often struggles. This only helps you to admire the engine even more. It's superbly stout at low revs, dragging this now lighter A5 forward with real purpose from just 1,250 revolutions per minute, and doing so with all the refinement of cars twice its price. It's true that Audi's 7-speed S-tronic gearbox is capable of dithering when handling large throttle inputs from low speeds, the A5's electronic brain presumably pondering over how best to deliver such an onslaught of torque. However, it's never a dangerously long pause, and once rolling, the box is far better behaved. It's a shame, then, that the A5 doesn't have the playful handling this engine deserves. Our car went without Audi's optional, 950 pounds, dynamic steering, and it's all the better for it, feeling more linear. Even so, the A5's front end doesn't feel as agile or communicative as that of the BMW 4 Series, and while its steering is certainly precise, the A5's reaction to it is always safe and secure rather than truly interactive. That's not to say the combination of the A5's precise steering, good body control, strong engine and quattro all-wheel drive won't make it decently quick across country, especially now the weather has turned. And despite the added sportier feel, there's not a huge amount of ride degradation, either. It's certainly firmer than an A4, on a car's S-line setup particularly, but it stays nicely controlled regardless. The new A5 doesn't disappoint inside, pipping the cabin quality of its German rivals with upmarket materials everywhere you look and touch. True, the design of the interior perhaps lacks the flair and imagination of a Mercedes-Benz C-Class coupe, but the flip side is a better structured, more logical dashboard layout. Audi's MMI infotainment system comes as standard and features a clear 7.0-inch display mounted centrally on the dashboard and controlled with the usual rotary dial between the front seats. Sat-nav is a standard fitment on all trims, although Virtual Cockpit, Audi's 12.3-inch screen that takes the place of the standard analog instrument dials, costs extra. Clearly, you won't be considering a coupe if space is your top priority, but the A5 isn't as impractical as you might imagine. A couple of 6-footers will fit in the back easily enough, although they'll have to slouch to keep their heads from brushing the ceiling. Officially, there's more boot space than in a 4 Series or a C-Class coupe, and although the differences are small, the A5's load bay is certainly usefully squarer than those of its rivals. It also comes with 40/20/40 split folding rear seats as standard, and when folded down, they leave only a gentle slope in the floor of the extended load bay. At a touch over £41,000, Audi has priced this A5 slightly below BMW's 430d xDrive M Sport Auto and slightly above Mercedes C250d Coupe AMG Line 4matic, although a small premium over that C-Class coupe isn't surprising when you consider the Mercedes 4-cylinder engine. As such, it looks very good value indeed. It's a far more refined choice than either of those cars and sports a better built cabin and a very generous list of standard equipment, not to mention lower CO2 emissions than its two rivals. It also doesn't give much away to the C-Class in terms of how it drives, although few would argue that it's a more engaging car than the 4 Series. Still, it's good enough in disguise to keep most people interested, and in almost every other way, it's an extremely rounded package that is well worth considering.